Okay, but basically, all I know about it is that for like a certain amount of years, he
Hmm.
like didn't pay any taxes or a very low amount of taxes, and for a certain couple of those years, all he paid was like $750 in taxes. Yeah.
Like,
Um,
that's ridiculous.
I don't really understand how or why, but
Hmm.
I guess just the one thing that I would like to point out is just that my I guess I need to say this because some people watching it might not know, but my entire family is huge Trump supporters, and all they do is share stuff on Facebook um, about supporting Trump and whatever. So basically, all the
Mm.
stuff that I've been seeing about it is, I guess I just want like making excuses for him. Um,
Why?
I
Why are we like? What is up with people? Fucking, I don't
well,
know.
what I love is that my dad, for instance,
Hmm.
was very about when like Al Sharpton was a huge like public figure. Not that he isn't anymore, but I just feel like I haven't heard
Hmm.
anything about him in a
Isn't that
while.
like the Black Reverend or
Yeah, yeah,
whatever?
yeah. And he had a big like tax scandal or something. Um,
Uh-huh.
and I just remember when that was big, huge news that like they were
They all
just
shit
they
on
were
him.
calling for Al Sharpton to show his tax returns. And I still can't get Discord to open. Anyhow, I just remember that when that happened, like all they were doing was talking about how like he needed to show his tax returns, and then all I'm seeing is shit on Facebook now about um, how like he's a privatized business owner, or shit like that, and or they've been sharing stuff about how like taxation is theft, and so he
Yeah.
shouldn't have to pay taxes anyhow. And
But
I'm
but
just
it's
like,
okay that you pay
yeah,
half
that's what I'm
your
saying. I'm like,
salary or whatever.
yeah, I'm like, if he's over here making millions of dollars, then why the hell, like,
And LLCs and corporations get taxed less anyways, so
hmm
it doesn't even matter. I'm sure he barely got taxed on whatever the fuck he owns
yeah.
anyways.
Well, that's the other thing. The articles that I was reading, because it's about all of his assets and everything that excuse me, everything that he owns. Um, and they
Mm.
were saying that he has somewhere overseas in Europe. I think it might be Sweden. I'm not for sure on that, but he owns like two golf resorts. And
Mhm.
apparently they're both worth like together like $55 million. But apparently over like the last recent history, um, he's just been losing money on them. Like they haven't made any money.
Mhm.
And that's similar with a couple of the other businesses that he owns. Now, of course, there's other ones like Trump Tower in New York. Like he's made like he makes an assload of money off that. But
Mhm.
I know there was a couple other like businesses and whatnot that he owns that he wasn't making any money on. I'm not saying that's an excuse or anything. I just know that that was
I
brought
mean,
up
he's
and
still
came
making
out.
more money than the retail worker making maybe $30,000 a year and getting
Hmm
taxed. I don't know what the percentage would be on that, but I know it's more than $750
So
just probably in
here we
state
go.
tax alone.
Article from New York Times. What is today? 29th. So 2 days ago. He paid $750 in federal income taxes the year he won presidency. In his first year in the White House, he paid another $750. Um, that
Probably
brings
because he's not taking the fucking
that's what I was just gonna bring up. That's what something else I've seen being shared is
mhm.
like an excuse is like, well, he's not taking pay for being president, so like you can just cut your losses with the
But you see
taxes.
how much more money they've spent on him going on his special
Hmm
trips and how many days he spent out of office and the extras.
Well, the thing
He's
that I
basically
see,
paying himself tax money because he's staying in the Trump Tower. And guess who pays for all the Secret Service agents and all the
hmm
extra protection and shit to move everything over to the Trump Tower rather than the fucking White House where it's supposed to be?
well, the thing is with them saying that like, well, because he isn't taking pay, so like whatever. That's not something that you can just decide to do though. Like you can't just it's tax evasion. You can't just call it something else just because it might work out. This article also says, excuse me, In the last 15 years, he's only paid income taxes in 10 of those.
Jesus.
Or no, he paid no income taxes in 10 of those. So he paid some amount of money in 5 years, and judging by the fact that he's only paid 750 each in these 2 years at list, those 5 years that he paid, did he pay all of it? Did he pay
hmm
$10? Um,
Can we also talk about how whether, Trump wins again or whatever, that we are literally starting an election and they're trying to push in a new Supreme Court justice.
hmm
Whether or
I
not Trump is, and honestly, he's losing even in red states. In early poll, I know it's just early
yeah.
polling, but
Well, the thing is that I find ironic about not ironic about Ruth Bader Ginsburg dying, but that's R.I.P. But
mhm.
the same thing happened at the end of Obama's second term.
And did
So
you see what Lindsey Graham said? Like if
no,
like he was like, even use my words against me. We will not elect a Supreme Court justice at the end of a lame duck presidency, which is like, at
yeah.
at the end of a term.
Well, that's
And
the same thing happened at the end of Obama's second term, and I
they
remember
didn't
then,
elect another one, did they?
yeah, they were waiting.
hmm
And so now, it's just funny how like things have flipped sides because at the end of that one, all the Republican conservative leaning people were saying, and I mean, I'm not gonna say it was all of them. A group of people were saying
hmm
that it should wait till the next president
hmm
is elected. And now that it's happened to Trump, now the tables have turned, and you know,
It's
there's
okay that we
probably
do
there's
this
still
now.
probably a layover of people who still believe it. Um, I just feel like, in my personal beliefs, there might be people that, not just Trump, but political officials that could name very good representatives to go on the. Um,
Yeah.
but I'm just saying that I feel like, I don't know, naming someone to the Supreme Court shouldn't just be like just
A
he'd be a good fit.
presidential nomination
Well,
type deal.
whether it should be that or not, but I just feel like that it's something that they
Should
need to.
deviate away from the two party system.
Well, no,
I feel
I'm
like.
saying it. Well, that too, but I feel like it should like be discussed. There should be not exactly debates, but like public like basically public interviews where they should be like, I think I would be a good fit for this.
Like actual campaigning like we do with
Yeah,
presidents or any other
yeah.
seat in the government.
I mean, and it still could be delegated, but I'm just saying that I feel like just them being able just to pull somebody out of their ass, and I'm not saying they do that, but
hmm
sometimes I just feel like it seems like that.
Well, the Kavanaugh guy had all these fucking cases against him and
hmm
shit. And now he's gonna be a Supreme Court justice for the rest of his life, possibly fucking over
hmm
our entire generation. For I don't know
and
exactly
that
what he's
leads
gonna do.
that leads to something else too to discuss. They've been bringing up about, like Trump said, that he. I mean, I could probably pull up just a second. Talking
I just
about how he wants to appoint a Supreme Court justice on like reversing Roe v. Wade.
yeah.
I think that's something that I I don't even know.
And what's
And
crazy is they're taking all this money away from Planned Parenthood and shit. So now there's gonna be, I don't know. It's not even just about abortions. They do a shit ton more than that, with
mhm.
just women's health and support for young children and things like that. And birth control is more than just a lot of women have issue with their periods and shit like that.
Well, and that's something that this is it's
And what do you
stupid, but
think
it's not
cutting them
stupid.
programs are gonna do? You're gonna have more younger teens getting pregnant, and I don't know. I'm trying to say
I
this without like offending anybody.
Yeah, no, I know.
Um,
The thing with Planned Parenthood is and I feel like recently it's been put out into the public more, but like just about like what they do, um,
hmm
and not that it's any excuse to. I feel like everybody should be knowledgeable about what they do because it is a hot topic, like just funding Planned Parenthood, because I feel like most people just say, oh, they do abortions, and that's not
Hmm.
true at all. And I just, this is stupid, but it's not stupid. The episode of Big Mouth, when
Hmm.
they dedicated that whole episode to just talking about the functions of Planned Parenthood,
Yeah.
um, I think that's like, I don't know, that's a really important episode on just a stupid cartoon, but it's not a stupid cartoon because they are
Yeah.
trying, they,
Spread a message.
yeah, and it's a good message, and I feel like putting that in that type of environment helps spread that information to a different like source of audience that
We're
maybe not
starting
normally,
to we're forgetting history, we're going back to we're letting people with not shitting on like Catholics or Christians or anything
well,
like
yeah,
that,
no,
but they're trying to push their idea of I mean, I agree to a point it's killing a life. You shouldn't be having third
hmm
trimester abortions and stuff like that. But like shit happens and like
hmm
I,
I guess the way I look at it is, back when,
we're pressing one group of people's beliefs on everybody
yeah,
is what we're doing. We're losing the separation of church and state. It's very much like
well, and that's the thing. In a Joe Rogan podcast I watched recently, um, but he was saying that they were talking about drug regulations. And
Mhm.
he was saying he's a big supporter of marijuana and other drugs, but he was saying like heroin, for example. He's completely against heroin. He doesn't think heroin should be used, but he believes that he shouldn't have like the government shouldn't have the right to tell you whether you should do it or not. And I guess that's the kind of way
Yeah.
I look at Planned Parenthood. Like that, there should be an option for that.
The,
You know what I mean?
this random woman you never heard of unless it was in the news getting abortion doesn't affect you, a
hmm
middle-aged white man that lives 2 states away from her
yeah,
or whatever.
yeah.
Like why are you so pressed about that?
I just and the thing is too, a good argument for people that are against abortion, um, is it's just like fine if you want to disband abortion clinics, but at the same time,
Make it easier for adoption and make the cost
yeah,
of living lower.
hmm
Make it shouldn't cost $10,000 to have a baby.
hmm
Um,
there is
make
so much,
more
there's so
more
much
paternity
like
leave, maternity leave, and
yeah. It's
you
not
know
when you decide to have a kid, it's not just deciding to have like you're it's not just deciding to have someone else around. Like it's a huge financial not
yeah.
setback, that's the wrong words to use. It's a celebration of life. It's a child. But I just it's it's a lot to
All
take
these
on.
pro-life people
And
are pro-life for the baby when it's inside the mother, but after it leaves the
mhm,
mother, no one gives a shit about it.
yeah, I just personally for me, I feel like having an abortion should be something that you should decide on very early on. But
Hmm.
at the same, like I just said, though, I shouldn't be
And
able to tell
people
you
and
whether you
people
do it or
act
not.
like I've known women who've had abortions, and people think, oh, they just have an abortion, like they don't give a fuck about it.
hmm
No, like I still have people that celebrate the. I know people that celebrate the death of their babies, or
hmm
like that's like an anniversary for them, or that day happens, and it's like kind of a sad, dreary day, because I
hmm
mean, like it is like a loss of a life.
One of the like best examples that I have that I can think of about abortion, and one that I really like supports a weird word to use, but um, Netflix show called Working Moms. Haven't seen it. It's a great show. But in the first season, it's her and her husband. They're both, they have a house. It's a good like family setting. They have a daughter, and then they just had a kid. And right after she has a kid, she got pregnant again.
Mm.
And they were both like, well, we can't have another kid right now. They sat down, they discussed, they went to an abortion clinic, but they sat down with a counselor, they talked about stuff, and then they decided that that's what they wanted to do, and they did it. But the first thing with that is, one, what I like about it is it wasn't they just were like they thought about it.
Mhm.
They, I mean, they knew that like it wasn't the right time or place for them to have another child. They
Mhm.
thought about it, they discussed it, they weighed the pros and cons of all of it, and then they decided to go through with it. But the other thing is too that just because they decided to do that doesn't mean that they didn't feel anything. Because they show in the
Yeah.
show, and I know this is true for people that have them, is you still have the feeling of having a baby.
Yeah.
like mentally and physically. Like it's not something that just like goes away,
Yeah.
you know. And I don't know. I guess coming back to Trump and with this is just I him making the statement of he wants to appoint a justice just to reverse Roe v. Wade.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just what do you expect out of like that's just something that I just expect to come out of his mouth. But like
Yeah.
I, that's just so him saying that should just automatically discredit any like his
Well, and the fact
appointments. Like
that he's a president, been saying for months, I'm gonna have another term, and maybe another term after that, and maybe hell for the rest of my life. What other president's been saying that? Or if any other president, whether Obama, fucking Clinton back in the day, and any of the
mm,
Bushes said that, it's like, oh, mutiny, fucking get this guy out of here,
mm,
fuck this guy. But now it's just like become a norm.
yeah. The other thing that I
Society is so dumbed down that they think, oh man, this
mhm,
Trump guy's fighting for me because he uses cuss words on stage and political scenes. So he speaks his mind. He knows what he's saying, what he's doing. I don't fucking know what I'm trying
I
to
with
make a
this
point, but
yeah no but like I feel like people are want someone who isn't the political norm, which I can get behind to a point.
hmm
But at the same time, I feel like Trump just stands up on stage, says things that are radical and not things that maybe like aren't normally talked about in politics or things that just shouldn't be talked about in politics or
well, I just
um
saw a thing about him and Biden's debate that's coming up that he
it's
fuck,
tonight.
yeah, that he's not trying to. It's the same thing like back when they first started doing TV debates, like why JFK won the or I can't even remember, but it was someone on TV with Richard Nixon. Didn't like JFK beat Richard Nixon first, and then Richard Nixon got later appointed down the road or whatever. But basically, he won because he was able to look more presentable and had a better look on TV. But that's the way Trump, like what Trump is going to do.
Mhm.
He's a TV guy. He's going to
Yeah,
try to win over the stage and win over the, you know,
I feel like
ratings and
he
popularity. He's
sees it
not making a
as
point
yeah. No, I feel like he sees it as like
reality TV show.
another episode of The Apprentice.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
And
That's what
it's
he's going
just
to try to
like
do.
I I don't know. I'm predicting that all it's gonna be is I feel like Trump's just gonna mock him the whole time.
Oh, exactly.
And um and we can talk about Biden in a little bit if you want to too, but
Yeah. I
but
mean, I think
I just
he's the wrong choice as well, too.
no, yeah,
This
yeah,
is literally Hillary versus Trump again with
yeah.
maybe even a worse candidate.
I just I don't
I
know
don't get
with
why
Trump.
everybody thinks so wrong about Bernie Sanders.
Mhm.
Not saying he's the fucking holy savior or whatever, but
Yeah, no,
Jesus
I
Christ.
with Bernie Sanders, he
At least
can
he can
he can.
form a sentence.
I was just gonna say he can actually formulate a thought, and it's just like the thing with Bernie is some of his ideas I don't necessarily agree with, but
Yeah.
the thing with it is though like some of his ideas are kind of radical in a way, but
hmm
they make a lot more sense than building a
He's trying to
wall.
help the people. Yeah.
Yeah, it's and that's the thing with
How do we say I'm gonna build a wall wasn't radical?
exactly. You know what I mean? Like, and I don't know. I just I don't even want to talk about that. I just with just with Biden and Trump, I just feel
hmm
like tonight's debate's gonna be Trump's just gonna
Like it.
mock him the whole time, and Biden's
hmm
just gonna sit there and try to get a thought out,
And
and
it's gonna
they're
be like
gonna if the who's hosting the debate.
it says Chris Wallace.
Well, like,
Roman.
is it Fox or is it
Oh,
CBS or
Fox.
okay? Then they're not gonna shut Trump up. This is
Nah.
literally all it's going to be is Biden's going to try to say they're going to ask Biden a question. Biden's going to try to say something.
And then
Trump's just going to talk over him, and then they might be like, "Hey, like let him talk," or they might try to quiet him down. But I guarantee the crowd's just going to be so loud and rambunctious that he's
Well,
just going to feed off of it and just
and the
no.
crowd is going to be full of Republicans because it's already shown that like those kinds of people don't give a fuck about what's going on right now.
Hmm.
And the back thing to go
And
about, we're talking about electing the Supreme Court justice. There are more pressing issues than selecting a Supreme
yeah,
Court nominee in a lame duck term, and as well as fucking banning TikTok. Like, who gives a fuck about that?
yeah,
We
right.
have a global pandemic that we're the greatest country in the world, but we have the most corona cases and the most COVID deaths.
Hmm.
Oh, my bad, the China virus. But
No,
like,
the China virus.
yeah,
I just I don't understand how I feel like I mean it's been this way for most of the time that it's been going on, but I just feel like it's definitely now has been moved to the back burner. Like it doesn't
mm.
matter anymore.
Like,
And
how have we not noticed that Trump is a totalitarian?
Mhm.
He was literally telling veterans and his supporters, like army personnel, go surround the polling areas, get make these liberals uncomfortable so they don't want to come vote. Like, basically
Mhm.
threatening people, and like what we saw with I forget what the church was called, but clear out the protesters with gas and they'll let me stroll in and take a picture of the Bible and leave.
Mhm.
Was that
I
Charleston?
I don't know.
I
I
don't know what the
remember
fuck happens
remember hearing
anymore.
about it. I don't know what the
And
place was
I see all
exactly.
these political ads like, oh, when Biden gets elected, police are going to defunded, there's going to be riots in the streets, your
Mhm.
cities are going to be destroyed. That's happening right now in the middle of your
Yeah.
presidency.
Mhm. And that's the
This
thing that I
this
find funny is they're saying that like things are going to get worse if Biden gets elected.
worse than this, I think we've already hit rock
Well,
bottom.
the thing is, even if they get worse, they're bad right now, and you still have yet to fix anything. So what's going to
Yeah.
change if you become president?
And he's even said
Like,
multiple times that he's downplayed fucking Corona and
mhm.
shit. Like, you wonder if he would have, if when we found out in March, they even knew before then. They didn't
Mhm.
release anything, but if he, in the first 2 weeks of us releasing this, if he would have wore a mask and given all these, there wouldn't be all these anti-masker people
Mhm.
and the
The
spreading.
whole the
And
whole thing, I feel like the whole. I mean, there are definitely people who have personal opinions, and I think that they have formulated them personally. But I feel like
yeah.
if the leader of the country wouldn't have stood up there and said that, because I'm might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure word for word, he said that he read off a piece of paper like it was just some stupid sticky note he had gotten that the CDC recommends wearing personal face masks. And I'm pretty
hmm
sure he said right after that, I don't think I'm going to be partaking in that. He said something like that. I'm not sure if it was word for word, but I'm almost
hmm
certain he said something along those lines. And there are a lot of people in this country that look up to him,
hmm
like just being the president, not who he is, just being the president. And
hmm
hearing the leader of the country say that, just I feel like automatically is just going to create a huge source of people that just don't believe in the wearing masks.
yeah.
Just I don't know, and I don't know.
Why do people like to follow like that? What's
Hmm.
so hard about thinking for yourself? Or I don't know, maybe that's the same way. And like, I'm not very religious. I don't like the thought of one person having
Hmm.
control over my life or making my decisions for me. It just comes down to, I think, people being ignorant and kind of lazy.
Hmm. And I guess on the flip side of that, just not trying to argue with you, just
hmm
like throwing in some other points just because my like I said before, my family is very active on Facebook, but
Yeah,
they've said like don't be a sheep and like why are you
you're
wearing a
literally
mask?
falling in line with.
That's what I mean. Like it's you not wearing a mask is doing the same exact thing.
Yeah,
Like you can say that I'm being a sheep by wearing a mask, but you not wearing a mask, you're also being a sheep.
yeah.
And I
It's like,
just
what do you believe anymore? Like, you look on Fox News, completely different. They take little cuts and sound bites on
mhm.
each different news platform, and then you think, oh, I'll go to social media, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. That's all. You don't know whether that's fake or real. It could be
Well,
made
and
by some.
the thing is too, like I would say a solid, 85% of the stuff that I see shared on Facebook isn't news articles,
hmm
isn't even like podcasts or blogs or anything like that. It's like memes.
hmm
It's a picture of Trump that says something, and it kind of paints the picture that Trump said it, but he didn't. It's just someone who took a picture of Trump, said,
Photoshopped
yeah,
his
said,
face in front of some words.
and that's all it is. And then they share it, and then they'll be like, hell yeah, Trump train, Trump
Mhm.
2020. And it's just, I don't know. And that's the thing too. That's one of the downfalls about social media is I feel like if social media wasn't a thing, Trump probably would never won, and
Mhm.
definitely wouldn't have the support that he has now. Because all people would have are the news outlets. News outlets, bias or not,
Yeah.
still to a point
Show how fucking
show
stupid both of them
well,
are.
but they show some percentage of the truth, whether
Yeah.
they're biased or not. Like they're to a point, they at least show the structure of something that happened. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And when you're on Facebook and all you get is your news from Facebook, and I'm guilty of that because okay,
Well,
never mind.
hell,
I was
even
gonna say the news that I get off Facebook is like news following the NFL, and you can't really bias that. So,
but like people are like in the case of your family, you even showed me some of the shit.
hmm
The headline or the big bold words will be like, "Oh, Trump did this, and this," and then you actually open the article, it's someone shitting on him, and they're
hmm
like, they share it like hell yeah to all their Trump
yeah,
trained brethren, and
hmm
it's really just an article about them shitting on Trump, and
hmm
they just read the headline and are like, let me
share.
share it."
hmm
Yeah.
And the other thing is too, um, they're in a bubble. And it's not just social media. It's not just their internet life. It's their actual life too. And
Hmm.
so they share this stuff on Facebook. And when they share it to people, it's just fellow Trump supporters. Like
Hmm.
like my
And then
brother
you
is
get
so
someone else with an
headstrong
opinion
about well, and then they either get in an argument with them, and then they have
threaten to
80,
kick
80
their
friends
ass.
kick their ass. They have 80 friends on Facebook because that's all they do is live on Facebook.
Hmm.
And then they get on there, and it's one guy against 10, and
Just
then they just do
and they're
their
just
big
bullying him. There's no
fuck.
facts. There's
Mhm,
no openness to, oh, you know what? I don't fully agree with your opinion, but I'll take one point from
mhm,
that and be like, this is what I think about it. I know it's fuck you, and fuck you.
mhm. And but then there's Facebook, and they're surrounded by all their Trump friends, and all they're doing is bouncing the same memes and half-ass articles back and forth to each other. So in their internet life, all they see is Trump. Well, then there's
Hmm.
no chance that anybody else has a chance to win.
Yeah.
Then you drive around town, and all you see is Trump signs because all that lives around us are Trump supporters. And so all they see is Trump signs. They never see any Biden signs. They never see any opposing viewpoints because all they do is drive around that small town area. They don't go to anywhere else. They don't go to other cities or other towns, and all they see is Trump supporters. And so then they again have another bubble around them, and all it is Trump supporters. And the funny thing that I think, and I'm not going to jinx myself saying that Trump's not going to win, but they have such a surreal envision that Trump's going to win another term. And I'm not saying he's not, like, there is a chance that he will,
Hmm.
but I think they are so set in the way that Trump's going to win again that there's not even a chance that anyone else could win. Which I guess from that point we could go into Biden. But
What were you saying? I had like,
I just said that they're just stuck in their bubbles, and all they
mhm.
see is the chance for Trump to win.
How
And so
can they
that's
be so like? How can you like even over the last like 5 years from me being 16 to 21, I've changed. Hell, even
mhm.
when like I couldn't vote at the point, but I was even like for Trump in the beginning because
Well,
I thought
listen.
Hillary
Well,
was so bad because we grew up in that area where
mhm,
no one else has any insight on the real world, and they all think in their little like mindset. They've had the same mindset for
mhm.
50 years plus. How can you do that? Think one thing and never let any other ideas in.
Well, and that's you bring up a good point with us. The last 5 years, when we were 16 and the Trump election was coming up, we took that test in our government class, and
Hmm.
I got named most conservative in the school. And I still remember that freaking test we took, and I marked so many stupid things. I know I remember that word for like not word for word, but
Hmm.
I remember marking that a gay man shouldn't be a Cub Scout, like he shouldn't be able to run a Cub Scout troop.
Hmm.
I remember marking that like he shouldn't. Um, there were a number of others, but I just remember I literally he told me that it was the lowest score that he had ever seen while giving that like
Hmm.
viewpoint test.
Jesus.
And
But it was probably
I
just
would
you being
love.
a stupid kid thinking, oh,
Mhm.
this is funny. Like
Oh yeah, I
um,
shared shit every day on Facebook, just so we've been bitching about. I was that exact same person, and that just shows like
but you
I
left
feel
and
like
changed your
that's what I
mindset.
mean.
You let
I feel
other
like I'm a
opinions
prime
in.
example of what we've just been talking about. Like I left, I came to college, I made friends with people that weren't like what we came from. I made
Hmm.
friend like in our hometown there was like what, 5 black people in total.
Yeah, and maybe two gay kids.
I came to school and one of my first friends was a black guy. And I just, coming to a different, especially a college, because college attracts, it's not just moving to a new town, it's moving to a new place where kids from across the state and out of state
Across the
are
world.
coming there to school, and you meet new people, you see new people, and they're not all always good, but a lot of
Hmm.
them a lot of them are new people, and another
Different
thing
ideas,
is,
different
mhm,
cultural backgrounds, different ways of
all
living.
my friends that I made freshman year that weren't girls were black guys and gay guys. And if you would have told me at 16, right after I took that test, that in 2.5 years, all my best friends would have been black guys and gay guys, I probably would have punched you. Because that's not me. That's not who I was. But here I was. I just remember coming to college and being like lost because I didn't have any friends here. And
Hmm.
so, not that I was like forced to be friends with them, but I was like hungry is a weird word, but hungry to make friendships. And
Need that
those
personal
people,
contact.
yeah, and those people like choosing to be my friends, it forced me to open up to like a new group of people that I had never, talked to before and made connections with, and that was one of the big turning points of when I changed my political views.
Hmm.
But I don't know. And I guess that's just the thing that's frustrating is talking to people from back home. I'll say something or I'll share something that doesn't, follow their ways of believing, and I immediately get backlash from it. Um, Look what college did to you, and it's just like, yeah,
Oh,
look what college
you
did to
got an
me.
education.
Hmm. And
Now you don't think like a fucking.
that brings in a whole new thing. Um,
Hmm.
the same parents, not parents, the same people that tell you need to go to college.
Hmm.
College is the only option for you. You need to go to college. You go to college, you get an education, and it doesn't really matter what you get an education in, because no matter what you get an education in, you're learning a lot of new different stuff. You're meeting new people and you're learning new things from those people. And then you bring those ideas back to the people that sent you to college and you tell them those ideas and they immediately reject them and call you a liberal or look what college did to you
Brainwashed
type thing.
libtard
Yeah.
fucking.
And it's just one of those deals where it's like, this is what you told me to do.
Hmm.
And like, not that I'm regretting it, but it's just like, this is what you told me to do. This was my
Hmm.
only option after high school. I went and did it, and now look who I am, what I've done. And it's like, now you don't want to accept that. And I guess it's just, I don't know.
And fuck, what was I gonna say? I don't know.
Just say, I'm gonna grab a water bottle.
Whatever happened to? I don't know. Maybe this doesn't really go with what we are talking about, but like love my neighbor. You got all these um primarily like right-winged evangelical type people that their Bible preaches so much love toward each other,
Hmm.
but I've seen nothing but hate from that side for,
And
and
that's
it's not
something
just
that,
now, it's been years.
hmm and that's something that just, going what I just said, what I bring back from college, it's just like, coming to college, I guess I questioned like my faith and what I believed, and I definitely did, and I definitely changed my whole thought process behind it. And it's just
Hmm.
like, if you teach that, you know, you good?
Yeah.
If you teach that, you're supposed to love everyone, everyone's saved by God, everyone's, a child of God, whatnot. And, if you believe
So
it, if you
what
believe
does
in
it
Jesus,
matter what they're doing then?
exactly. But if you believe in Jesus, Jesus died for everyone's sins. So it doesn't matter what anyone does, honestly.
Hmm.
Like, everyone's going to heaven. So I guess my thing is, if you are going to preach that, then why can't you practice that?
Yeah, it's a whole lot of preaching, not a whole lot of practicing
Mhm.
anymore, and not even just religion. It seems like anything anymore. We're
Mhm.
so taken over. Like that's what's good and bad about technology. Like we were talking about with social media. There's a lot of positives, but then that you
Mhm.
like. I don't know if you've heard anything about QAnon or whatever it's called. Like all these domestic terrorist groups that are kind of forming out of social media sites like Facebook and
Hmm.
shit.
I didn't
And
know
like
any about that.
same with Antifa and
Mhm.
QAnon's like I think it's I don't know, maybe off of Tumblr or IMDb, no, Tumblr or something, some kind of they've been the ones out in the streets with weapons and stuff like that. Like,
And that's the thing. You see those types of people, those groups, and I feel like the conservative viewpoint is just automatically that, they're not. It's just, I don't know. There's such a negative connotation, it seems like, on my Facebook page of like Black Lives Matter, and everything
mhm,
about them is destructive and negative. And I'm not saying I agree with the rally point of it where things get rowdy and shit
mhm,
happens, but it's just like, if you don't want that shit to happen, listen to them. Like, I'm not saying that
mhm.
stuff deserves to be happen or it should happen, but at the same point, it's just like, if you don't want that stuff to happen, then why don't you listen to people?
Well, why do we have to go out and say, oh, Black Lives Matter? Like, why can't like? I think honestly, the biggest thing is just people are too stupid. They see the name and just think that means,
Mm-hmm.
oh, like black people need to be better than white people. Like that's what they
Mm-hmm.
think they're trying to say now, when really they're like just saying like no, like honestly, like the worst thing about Black Lives Matter is the name,
Mm-hmm.
because and it's not even their fault. It's just stupid, ignorant people unable to just have that click in their mind that are like, then they start screaming all lives matter.
Mm-hmm.
That's not the issue we're talking about. Like,
Well, like, the two things with that is, well, one with the all lives matter is, I hate when people say that all lives
or
matter, and
blue lives matter.
this is kind of cliche, but when they say all lives matter, well, then Black Lives Matter shouldn't upset you.
Yeah,
Like,
I don't
you
understand
should,
it.
exactly. The other thing is too, you have these groups of people that are negative and aren't
Mhm,
doing anything constructive, and then label
mhm,
themselves Black Lives Matter,
mhm,
and it's like, they're not the representation of what the organization is. And that goes outside more than that. You could have, at a restaurant, you could have a shitty employee that pisses off a
mhm.
bunch of customers, and you're like, well, that guy doesn't represent who we are. Like, you know what I mean? And if you do things like, I don't know, I guess that's just the thing. It's an uphill fight with them, because no matter what, there's always going to be people that are going to disregard anything that they say or try to fight for.
I mean, I'm sure it was the same way the last time we had so much civil rights unrest in our country back in when,
Hmm.
MLK and then you had Malcolm X and the Black Panthers. It was like kind of two separate parts of the same group, but one was more violent than the other. And like, uh, love is going to trump hate in the
Hmm.
end, but we haven't reached the point where finally we're going to realize, like,
Well, and the other thing is too, bringing up MLK and not disregarding anything that he did. He was a great guy, but
mhm.
people are saying that, well, MLK did it peacefully, so why can't you? MLK did
people
do
are
stuff
people aren't
peacefully.
allowing them to do it peacefully. They're out
Well,
attacking them. You can't attack somebody and not expect them to retaliate.
my thing is, if what he did peacefully worked, then they wouldn't have to fight for anything today.
Yeah.
I'm not saying what everything that he did wasn't constructive, but if what he did peacefully worked and everyone had their eyes open and realized that, oh my God, hey, black people are people too,
Hmm.
and treated everybody equal, then they wouldn't have to do it, you know, They could do things peacefully. Well, they shouldn't have to do things peacefully. They shouldn't have to do anything. I
And
don't know.
people act like, Jim Crow laws and slavery and stuff was 200 years ago. No, that was our
It's not been too
grandparents
far away.
were born at that
Hmm.
point, fuck, what's her goddamn name? Oh my god, I'm so fucking stupid. Rosa Parks just died in like 2006.
Yeah.
Like,
Hmm.
it's not that long ago. That's still a part of we were alive at the same time she was. It's not like it
Hmm.
was decades
I
ago.
I don't know what I was gonna say.
We
I
act like
just
it's there's no racism anymore.
yeah.
Systematic
Well,
racism isn't a thing. Like the biggest thing, like look at places like Detroit, and people like to shit on. They'll say it's the black people's fault for that, but you cut away schools and hospitals and after school programs in a city. Even if you did that in a primarily white community, it would happen the same way. You know,
hmm.
the place would go into ruins. You got people running the streets. The only thing they can join into is gangs and street violence
Hmm.
and things like that. They have no chance in the world. They don't. We all had opportunities right out of high school. We were able to go to college and stuff like that.
Hmm.
A lot of people don't have that option.
And that's the thing. If as outsiders looking in, I guess is what the point of what I'm going to say is. If you're looking in and you want things to change, you say, "Oh, that community is run down, and it's just making more negative people in the world or whatever." That's a terrible way to put it, but you have to foster like a winning environment there. You have to foster those kids growing up to want a better life for themselves, to want to change things. But instead, they're just disregarding anything that happens there. And so then it's just repeat after generation of, and it's not their fault.
No,
It's
not at
just
all.
it's what they know. It's what they can do. They're just trying to get by.
Yeah,
But
it's the
when
shitty hand they
nobody
were dealt.
and it's gotten to the point where it's not like they can just offer opportunities. Like people need to go in there and
It's the
help them.
system's fault.
Hmm.
And also, I just call it a system, but people need to stop calling it a system because it makes it makes it look fake or like system you think of computer or something. It's
Yeah, when it's
we're in
structured.
control by other people. The people are making
Hmm.
these decisions. If we vote these
Hmm.
people out and get these people out, we can make real changes that'll help
Hmm.
people. They're just worried about the next time they get elected so they can create more loopholes and more tax breaks for themselves so they can make more money and then disappear
Hmm.
and we never hear from them again. They take their money and run, or they're going to be a career politician and then ruin our lives for the next 60 years and rack up as much money as they can. Like I don't get it. How can you make a few $1 million and still be chasing more, and
Hmm.
at the sake of other people's lives too? Like,
I can't fathom going back to the very beginning, what we talked about with Trump's money making. I can't even
mhm,
fathom owning, like having as much net worth as just one of his businesses. I
mhm.
can't even fathom that. Like, and maybe one day I'll
If I
get
had a
there,
million dollars,
but
I don't know what I would fucking
oh
do
my
with
God,
myself.
I'd probably, I don't even know. And that's
Let
just the thing. It's
alone,
just like, I'm all for making money. Like,
mhm,
make your money. Like, go out and make it. Do the American dream. Make all the money you want to make. Whatever happens, happens. But at the same time, I feel like there's a point where you just have a duty. Like you have to
mhm.
turn around and like I
Well,
just.
how can you say you want to be president and help the American people, but then not pay taxes?
Hmm. If
That
he then that
is,
should have been a thing. Well, not just the taxes. Before he became president, if he really wanted to help the American people, he didn't have to become president.
yeah, you gotta pay his fucking taxes
Well, well, yeah, that too. But he has enough money
and not
where
being a
he
child
he
pedoph or
he
fucking
literally he
pedophile
literally has
rapist.
enough money where he could have just not campaigned. He could have
Hmm.
not debated. He could have just not had a public image any more than what he did. And if he would have just went out and done stuff with his money, he would have gotten every single vote in the country. Like if he would have gone out and used his money for good in the world and changed things, like
Mhm.
that's what we need. We don't need somebody who can talk. Like
It's like,
I'm waiting for a guy to run, or not just guy or girl, to run for president and be mute. I'm waiting for that day because I cannot wait. I just
prove
I
it by
feel
your actions, not rather than
yeah.
I'm gonna say this for the next election that comes up just so I get elected. Like
Yeah.
I'm gonna say right now we're gonna build a wall and cut all your taxes, but when I get into office, we're not doing that, and then I'm raising your guys' taxes, and then I'm cutting Social Security and Medicaid in the middle of a pandemic.
It's just it's all talk. And that's the thing that pisses me off. It's not politics, it's just talk. And I guess coming back to the debate tonight, that's just the thing that's gonna piss me off. And I don't know if I'm gonna watch it. I'll probably watch
Oh
highlights
no,
on YouTube or something. But
I want no.
there's just not gonna be highlights. Who am I kidding? But anyhow, it's I just and
Maybe a
obviously
blooper reel.
obviously a debate is just gonna be talk. But when it comes down to what they're saying, I I guarantee all it's gonna be is Biden trying to talk about what he wants to do, and Trump's just gonna, well,
You're wrong.
you're wrong, or, well, I did that already, or, well, I'm gonna do that too, but I'm gonna do it better,
Hmm.
or I don't know. And I guess we could talk about Biden now. I think I've said that like 5 times, but I guess my thing with Biden is he stands for stuff that maybe I don't necessarily agree with, but I would rather have someone that has those viewpoints in office than Trump, but just
Hmm.
not Biden.
Yeah.
As much as I just said that, I want someone who can win an election by their actions and not by how they talk. I would still at
Hmm.
least like them to be able to formulate ideas.
Well, and just you've seen over the years, like Biden's acting like he's a people person for the people. He's been a career senator and politician,
I think
and
he
he's
got
tried
elected
cutting
into the
Medicare
Senate.
and Medicaid in the 70s.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm pretty sure. I think it was 1973 or 74 was his first year
Hmm.
on the Senate. I just, and that's the thing with politicians that I just, and that's the thing that I guess I liked about Trump way back then,
Hmm.
way back then,
Because he
was
wasn't
just
a career
he
politician.
wasn't a career politician, and it's just, and I'm not saying that a career politician is bad, but it's just like at least have a resume of the good things that you've done or you fought for, or things that you've single-handedly changed or had a hand in changing. And I'm not saying that Biden hasn't done any of that, but it's just like, God, he's what? How old is he? Isn't he like 74,
I think
or
he's
is
like
he older?
78.
I'm gonna look it up because I want to know.
Like they'll shit on Bernie,
He's
but right
77.
right now Trump is the oldest president we've had. You can't talk about age.
Well,
And
if
also,
Biden got
why
it,
are we
he would be
electing these
older.
old ass motherfuckers
You have to be
to be leadership?
35, right, to be president?
Yeah, yeah.
How the hell is the only people that we can come up with these guys that are older than most of the people in nursing homes?
And have
Like,
no ideas about what's going on in the world or what's going to happen in the next 5 or 10 years because they probably won't
how
be a
the
fucking around to see it.
that's what I mean. How the hell is either of these guys supposed to make policies and change what happens for the generation that is their grandchildren or
Hmm.
younger? Like right now, the people that they should be fighting for changing the future is our generation.
Yeah.
Like the people that are between us and Biden, or well, Trump, like just their generation, like they're already set in their ways of how they want things to be done. If they want to
Hmm.
change stuff for the better for the future, they need to listen to the younger generation.
Yeah.
Like it's just like because by the time that the generation between us, like our parents' generation, by the time that they get like to their age, I just completely lost train of thought what I was gonna say. By the time they get to like their age, like we're gonna
Hmm.
be their age, and that's gonna be the America that we're gonna have to raise our families in, work to build up our retirement funds, live our lives. And if things don't change right now, we're like, it's gonna be fucked.
Well, I mean, you see what's gone on in California and shit.
Hmm.
Been on fire the last 2 weeks, and no one gives a fuck about that.
That's the other thing. Coronavirus, wildfires, but no, they're down here on the list, and you got all the way up here. You got.
Banning TikTok, and let's get this new Supreme Justice in.
Hmm.
Woo.
I any argument about banning TikTok, I just don't get. Like, I just don't understand it.
Let's they might be selling the data to China. We don't want that. Let's let Facebook take this over, and we want this private information to stay here.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And the one thing that I feel like this just came to mind, the thing
Or let's
about
let Facebook
TikTok,
take it and then let them sell it to China.
yeah, no shit. But when the one of the big arguments I've heard about TikTok is just like young girls on there, like dancing and showing their bodies or whatever or whatnot. There is a lot of that on there. Like, I've seen it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I. But the thing is, though, you take
It's
TikTok
any
away.
social media site.
Yeah, they're gonna do it. They did it on Musically. They did it on Vine. They did it on TikTok.
Instagram,
They do it on
Twitter,
Instagram. Yeah,
Facebook,
it's anything. If they have access to the
OnlyFans,
internet,
Visco.
yeah, if they have access to the internet, they're gonna do it.
Yeah.
Like, it's
I
not
mean,
it's not a technology thing.
Pornhub
It's
and porn is probably the
yeah.
biggest thing on the internet.
Mm-hmm. And all that is exactly what they're mad at TikTok for. If they want to get rid of TikTok, why don't you ban Pornhub?
Yeah.
Like,
You
how
want
are
to
you
talk
gonna
about a
how are you gonna
detriment to society?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you got things like that: cigarettes, alcohol,
I want to
gambling.
know. I want to know. Just a second. Um. Here we go. Pornhub, one of the industry's biggest providers, claimed their site streamed 75 gigabytes of data a second last year, enough to fill 175 million 16-gigabyte iPhones, a total of 87.8 billion views, up 10 billion from 2014, and another 15 billion from 2013.
It took
Porn sites get more visitors each month than Netflix, Amazon, and Twitter combined.
like I saw it took Pornhub 19 days to reach 50 million users.
Fun facts about porn. Male porn stars. Oh, we're not going to talk about that. $3,000 are spent on porn every second. 12% of all content on the internet is porn. A new porn movie is produced every 39 minutes.
Damn.
I guess, and it's just, it's one of those things where porn's like a huge business industry. But at the same time, just because something's a huge business industry doesn't mean it's good.
Yeah.
Like, well, he brought up cigarettes. Like, we could talk about cigarettes. Like, they know they kill people.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they kill people every year. They kill more people than
But weed's bad because it
Yeah,
makes you
that's what I
giggle.
mean. They want to ban these
They'll
different
be
types of
like-
drugs and stuff, but
They'll be like, "Oh, marijuana might cause heart issues." Well, we know cigarettes and
That's what
alcohol cause heart and lung
literally-
and liver issues and stuff like that. So
they're
like,
over here allowing a business to make millions of dollars every single year, and they know it's killing people. It's not a might. It's not a maybe. It's not a you might die. It's you will die if you keep smoking. Like, it's a thing. Everybody knows it.
I mean, it's this not even just that industry, but you think about non-renewable energies and shit. We know it's bad and it's gonna kill us in the long run, but it makes a hell of a lot of money, so I don't give a fuck.
Yeah. But then they're over here with the, weed or just a bunch of other different drugs that are banned when, they haven't even, when they originally studied them was what, the 70s when the war on drugs happened?
Mhm.
Like, they didn't even have, like, think about how much the world's changed in the last, that's been 50 years. Like, that's the issue with half these drugs is not only are they illegal, but no one can study them. Like, there's all these drugs that are illegal that, no one's been able to study the long-term effects or their effects on different diseases or illnesses. And it's just like, how are you going to sit there and keep them illegal when you are allowing drugs that are causing negative effects every day in the world? I just don't understand it. Thanks for watching the podcast today. Hopefully you found some interesting stuff in there. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and hit the notification bell to get a notification every time we post a new video. Other than that, have a great day, guys.